Welcome back, everybody. This is Overwatchers. I am Garrett Weinzierl. He is Patrick Beja, and he is Chris, aka ChanmanV, and we're here to talk some Overwatch. And there's just such a lack of things to discuss this week. I don't know why we bothered getting together, gentlemen.
Finish this show?
I mean, I'm personally not excited about it because one of my favorite things is definitely not to sit and go, ooh, that skin is pretty. Ooh, that skin is pretty. Ooh, that skin. Oh, it's Roadhog who got another skin for another event and is also nightmare fuel. How's the Overwatch week been treating you all?
It's been doing. I've been okay. I had a couple of pretty bad days in comp, which I'll go over a little bit in the strategy section. I kind of fell back into the horrible, habits of yesteryear and got really tilted and frustrated and sad. But aside from that, everything's cool, and we have the Rooster, and that's been fun. I've been playing a lot of Capture the Flag yesterday and today, and it's been growing on me. So I know, Chris, you like it a little bit more than both of us do.
Yeah, that's. I spent probably 6 hours yesterday playing it. And so I played a good number of games, and
wow,
I've been having a blast. But I have been playing with other friends, or at least queuing up with a foursome, which is quite different than queuing up solo queue, is what I'm hearing. So my experience could be quite different.
Yeah. I haven't played it that much. I've only played it once. I can't say I'm super enthused to go back, but
wow. Okay.
Nonetheless, we'll talk about that more in a little bit. As always, want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Overwatchers for supporting this and every single episode of this podcast. And also our sponsor, .game. You can go to get.game right now to get your .game domain name, or you can go just about anywhere you can think of that sells domain names and get your .game domain. If you prefer GoDaddy, if you prefer web.com, all of those work. It's still a relatively new domain, everyone. It launched in May of last year, so as we kind of joke about every episode, you don't have to get clever with your spelling or your numerals or things of that nature, for the most part. I'm sure there's some names that are taken, but...
I just thought about something. Do you think Overwatch.game is taken? Let's look.
Let's find out in real time.
And then the second question...
It looks like it isn't.
It isn't.
It appears that it is not taken. Hey, Blizzard, what are you doing? How do you not have your .game domain?
That's right.
Well, they don't have Overwatch.com, do they? It's Play Overwatch, so
it is.
Squatters enabled. Go.
That's a very good point.
Make some money, guys.
Yeah. Go be mildly annoying to Blizzard by going to get.game right now and registering Overwatch.game. Fantastic. Well, we thank them for their support. And now, obviously, the big news this week is that the Year of the Rooster is here. We have yet another in-game event, in-game holiday, and it's Rooster-themed, which means I am just predisposed to like it, regardless of the cultural impact of the event.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that we keep calling it Rooster when in every other... like any other place where we talk about the Zodiac or whatever, it's always Year of the Cock. And this is like, I don't know why it bothers me so much. I know why they did it, obvious reasons, but it just keeps bothering me every time we say Rooster.
That's because
I've never used Rooster ever.
It's because we're all 12.
Yes,
why.
exactly. I realize that as well. but I'm not surprised or bothered in the least because I'm 12 years old. You said Year of the Cock, and you were even talking about it as like serious as humanly possible. You didn't even like pause for humorous effect.
I am an adult. What can I say?
And I still giggled. Well, I turned 30 today, and I'm still giggling at the word COCK. So there's that.
Right. It's your birthday.
You didn't even say
Happy
the word.
Birthday.
Happy birthday! Oh, it's your birthday today? I didn't realize it was actually today.
Yeah, I hit the big 3-0 today. Yeah.
Oh man, congrats!
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have anything special planned? Because 30, it's a big one.
Everyone keeps telling me that, and I'm just like, I just want to get ramen and open my presents. Like that's as far as
Everybody makes a big deal out of 30.
It's not 30. Honestly, it's amazing. 40 will hit you a little bit more.
40 is different.
Yeah, but 30, it was like I did not care at all. I think it's because related to the fact that we're all 12. Even in our 30s, we're kind of living like teenagers. We're playing video games and watching movies, having fun. So,
I think that's what's
in our 40s.
Yeah, yeah. I think
I'm still doing that.
Sure.
If anything is weirding me out about it, I think it's that. It's that I feel I am so much more immature than I thought. Like growing up, I would have been by the time I hit this age.
Yeah.
And part of that is because I talk about video games for a living. I'm not complaining. It just makes turning 30 kind of weird.
It's a great luxury to be able to feel immature at our ages. I mean, Chris and I are a little bit older, and we still feel pretty much the same way. So that's a pretty lucky place to be in.
Yeah. My favorite thing, without a doubt, I know this has nothing to do with the Year of the Rooster, but it's my birthday, damn it, deal with it. Is that all day I've been hearing, I've been getting tweets of people just like, I thought you were the oldest person on every podcast you did. And I'm just like, cool. I guess I sound like a curmudgeon.
And we're gonna have to change our voice.
Apparently.
Chris, how old are you?
Exactly. I'm a little bit younger than everybody thinks. Or no, I mean sorry. I'm actually older. I'm much older than.
Yes, well,
Yes.
If
dear friend Chris, what age might you be at this year of 2017?
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I'm assuming most of the people who sent those messages have never actually seen photos of the entire cast of every podcast I've ever done.
Haircut gives it away.
Yes, at the moment, yes. Well, anyways, back to the Year of the Rooster and not the Year of the Garrett.
Interestingly, another name for cock.
Wow.
Oh, that was harsh, man. That stings.
That was too easy. It just came into my mind. I couldn't get it out.
So this is a roast now. Okay, I got it.
You're killing me. I'm failing at my job of trying to keep us on track and moving on. You're killing me here.
All right. Let's get back to the point.
All right. Fantastic. I mean, first of all, I want to just, I know it's not in order of the notes. I just want to talk about the skins. We got a ton of new skins.
Of course.
Listen, I play a lot of Roadhog, and even I'm like, every time we get a Roadhog skin, it's like they just, and I think I get it. I think there's no limit to the level of grotesqueness you can come up with Roadhog. It's just. He's just nightmare fuel, man. There's so many disgustingly brilliant things you can do with that silhouette.
Very true.
It's definitely true. And, I have to say that I was thinking that the next event, I was actually really surprised this was the Year of the Rooster would be the next event that they did. Because in my mind, I wasn't actually sure, but I just had this vision of Cupid Roadhog, and just the awkward disgust I might have by seeing
with the little wings in the back.
I'm like, for sure they're going to be doing Valentine's Day purely because of that. But no, I'm doing the Year of the Rooster, and the Roadhog one is the only one that I don't actually know exactly what it's supposed to be. I mean, I know it's a pig, but is that supposed to be a public official, like a? No,
so
I'm not sure what it's supposed to be.
All of them are from the Chinese tale.
Yeah.
Is it Journey to the West?
It is Journey to the West.
Yeah, Journey to the West. Yeah. I just wasn't sure which one that was supposed to be.
So if you've ever seen Dragon Ball, Oolong, the little pig dude?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
one of the.
Oh, okay.
So Dragon Ball originally is also inspired from that legend or tale.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you'll see all of the Monkey King is Son Goku, and even the character There's a sky character somewhere, I think, on his face or something. No, on his gear in the front, and that's Sora in Japanese, and it's the same one that Goku wears. So anyway, yeah, that's how I know of that. That's how culturally aware I am. I know my Chinese tales by Japanese anime.
Well,
which, in my defense, I'm not the only one. I was listening to other podcasts, and they all made that reference. So.
Well, I'll put it this way: I love Dragon Ball Z. I've seen every episode multiple times. I did not know that at all. I had no idea that it was drawn from that reference.
Yeah, it's more apparent in Dragon Ball original. Dragon Ball Z sort of takes liberties with the tale of the Monkey King. He doesn't come from another planet in Chinese lore.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair. But he comes from another planet in Dragon Ball. They just don't really address it all that much because,
originally,
because monkey princes don't end up crashing into the planet until Dragon Ball Z.
So maybe actually in China, it also originates from that. We don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, so not every single skin is from that. Given that we have like a Korean skin, and there's definitely some other influence. But yeah, I think a lot of them are. Sanzang is the the Zenyatta one too, who's major part or main character in Journey to the West. So it's really cool. It's really cool that they use that as their inspiration for doing these skins.
Yeah, Roadhog aside, there's like a surprising level of like. It just they seem like almost classy, or like they're really sophisticated skins. Like they kind of go beyond, I think, what we've seen already in past Overwatch skins. Some of them are really, really well done.
You're right. They do feel more delicate or intricate, especially the female ones. You have the dresses, and like it's very fancy attire. The Symmetra one is really nice. The Tracer one has some like embroidered roses on the side of her leg, which make it's super detailed. And the Reinhardt one, I think it might be my favorite. It's so like badass and I don't know. It looks like it's more detailed. Yeah, it feels like they've mastered, the way of creating those characters model a little bit more, and now they're being even more fancy with it.
I think it's funny because like it's the little details that makes these skins a lot better, because it's much more subtle in a way, right? And when you're comparing it to Christmas, when you're comparing it to Halloween, those skins were very, over the top, and they're meant to be over the top, and it's kind of fun that way. But yeah, this one just seems like they integrated the themes a lot, like you said, just more artistically and classier. And one of my favorite ones is actually the Mei, the pink outfit, because it's like a red. There's a red version, and there's a pink and white one. Yeah, like I actually like that one a lot. Like the details of it, not necessarily personally just the skin, but the details of it makes me appreciate it like so much that I definitely want it.
Me too. I would never have thought so.
Yeah, the Reinhardt weapon is badass. It's the classic like kung fu weapon with the sickle on one end and then the blade on the top end. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but because you have to actually go and look at the weapon, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then I would like to throw all of that sophisticated talk out the window and say, "Oh my God, Ganymede is a rooster. Your argument is invalid. I need the skin now."
So there was a funny joke on Reddit because there's a running debate about the gender of Bastion.
Oh, the gender.
But
of
now
Bastion.
He has a rooster, which so we know. Really funny. I thought that was.
Yes, Bastion has
a rooster.
A rooster, yes. He has a rooster.
See, we are 12.
Not the other word.
Guys, the rooster and the
Well, that's awesome. I'm personally now I'm just like not in a funny like I'm 12 way. I'm curious if this just confirms the gender of Ganymede.
True.
Okay.
So are there which is your favorite, Garrett? I don't think you said.
I'm actually rather partial to the diva. Again, because of the subtlety. I mean, she herself is wearing a dress, which is way different from her usual like Evangelion pilot suit that she's usually running around in. But I love the detailing on the window in her pilot seat, like the window detailing in it, and all of the little subtle things all around her mech suit.
She looks like she's the one who looks the most like an anime character. Like, or she could be from a Japanese, sci-fi JRPG. She looks very, very, I don't know, specifically like that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I agree, but I love it. It's awesome. It's just
very
it's fantastic. It's fan-flippin-tastic. They always have fun with D.Va. So I dig it.
Yeah.
The Anna is scary though.
Yeah, that's what
The Anna is
that's what
pure
everybody
nightmare
says.
fuel. Like
Yeah.
that and Roadhog. Like I wouldn't want that coming up to me in an alley.
Well, it's so funny with Anna because Anna, it's like everything but her face is like completely fine. It's like kind of colorful and it's almost summer gamesish in a way. But then you get the face and the mask and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, definitely nightmares. And I didn't actually know what it was, but apparently it's a Korean, it's some kind of traditional mask, I believe. So yeah, so learn something new whenever a friend of mine who's Korean was telling me about that because he really loves that skin and appreciates it the most because he was just assuming that a lot of the year the Rooster would be Chinese things. So when he saw a couple of the Korean things included, it was really, really cool.
The one thing I will say, I mean, I'm looking at them again and oh my God, they're so intricate, so pretty. I would need to have it's rare that I look at a garment and go, oh, this is so pretty, and I'm looking at May again and she's really amazingly crafted. I would need to look at these and the classic ones and see if there's really a difference in detail and complexity in the models. But the one thing I think people were disappointed about, and rightly so, was that the other two Asian characters didn't get anything, Genji and Hanzo. That was a little bit, since we got stuff for Korea, I was hoping we'd get stuff for Japan as well. But maybe for the year of, what's the other, next year, the year of the, I don't know, the dragon, the dog. Ooh, maybe it's...
Yeah,
What?
It's not dragon. It's definitely not dragon because it would be rabbit right now if it was dragon. So
that's the one question
Okay.
I have because like we're assuming, right, that the other, like the Halloween skins and the Christmas skins, that they're just going to come back every year, right? But because of the Chinese New Year and that it's always associated with an animal, does that mean like next year I have no chance of getting Rooster Bastion?
I think they might add.
yeah, I think they'll just add.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know. That's what I was thinking as well. It's specifically the year of the Rooster. It's not going to be the year of the Rooster every year.
No.
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows?
There's even a little rooster icon. I'm assuming the icon will be different next year to symbolize whatever the symbol is next year.
Probably.
So who knows? All I know is I need to get that Bastion right now because I don't want to risk.
Don't want to take chances.
I don't want to take
That's
the chance.
right.
I also,
That's
I mean, even if it does come back next year, I don't want to go a year without a rooster on my shoulder. So there we go.
Yeah.
Ooh, so apparently it was monkey last year, rooster this year, dog next year, and pig the year after that.
Oh wow, the pig is going to be classic. Rodog's not going to get a skin for the pig, guys. I doubt it. I just really, really doubt it.
I mean, he kind of already did. So
Yeah. No, but getting back to Genji and Hanzo, it was a surprise for me, but apparently they don't celebrate the Lunar New Year, and I don't know.
Yeah, they actually don't.
That might be the reason, but they've gotten the shaft, right? Like they didn't get a skin during Christmas, did
Well,
they?
Especially Hanzo.
Yeah.
Because Genji got Oni Genji during the Christmas period with
Oh,
the
well, okay.
Heroes promotion, which, but Hanzo has gotten very little. But, they have to pace it out. Certainly, Roadhog has gotten a lot in the past few months, but it's fine. I think it's okay. And we don't want to give any more reasons for those Hanzo mains to pick Hanzo at every possible occasion. So,
pouring on the haterade.
Poor that guy that's in charge of just making the Hanzo skins are like, how about this one, guys? How about this one? No, balance is not in a place where we actually want you to be able to use those skins yet.
I love the idea that they how much they want someone to play a character directly influences how cool they want a character's skins to be.
Exactly.
Oh, geez. Somebody work that into your next the super cut where you make Jeff Kaplan say things that he never said. Someone work that in there. So, fantastic. All right, back to capture the flag, because we talked a little bit about it at the top of the show. We alluded to it, but we didn't really go into it. So the other big thing with this is we do have a brawl, an arcade mode specifically for this event, and it is capture the flag. In this case, it's a flag with a rooster on it. And first off, guys, were you getting any type of like smug nerd pleasure out of watching like the normal game sites like Kotaku be like, oh my god, capture the flag has come to Overwatch, and I'm just sitting here being like, yeah, it's an arcade mode and it's going to go away at the end of this and it's never going to make it into actual competitive play. Why don't you calm down, you clickbaity nut jobs?
a little bit. I think again, Polygon, which has, I think we railed on Polygon last episode or the year before, and it's my main game site, so I like them. But they were like, capture the flag is in Overwatch. It took years to build, but it might stay. And actually, what Kaplan is saying in his developer update is like, it's probably not gonna stay. Maybe, we won't rule it out, but it might. But it's probably not. And
yeah. Well, I mean, if there is a destination, he made it definitely sound like it would be arcade before it would be just the regular competitive format. But for me, I think I'm opposite of you guys. I actually think that this is kind of like a PTR for capture the flag. They've definitely tried it internally, been trying to get it to work internally, but there's no telling what happens when it goes out into the wild and out into the public and how people receive it, and maybe just even how games play out. But it's going to be hard to tell, given that you can't make a custom game that's CTF. Like, I think a lot of people have been dying to be able to create one, right? And then actually have, say, the pro players, right? Just end up playing it and scrimming it and see how it turns out. We can't do that, but we can at least get a sense for, at least maybe a sense for what CTF would be like at its best. But Solo Key is not sounding like that, apparently, for you guys.
Tell us about your experience, Garrett.
Oh, well, like I said,
I'll tell you about mine after you guys.
I only played it once, and it was just, it was just a stalemate for like 10 minutes, and then the team with the one person that rolled the support, which was not my team, finally, outlasted us and got one cap, and it was just like your shittiest Warsong Gulch experience in World of Warcraft all over again.
There is a little bit of that, and by the way, I didn't know this, but I was in a game and someone told me, hey, they used the WoW sound for capturing the flag, and I didn't realize, but it's true. I think it's true. You get it is. You get the da-da when you capture the flag, which is in WoW.
That's awesome.
Anyway, doesn't matter. I mean, it is a very, very different game mode, and it is a very different strategy. And I think, it's been out for less than 20 hours. People are only now starting to figure it out a little bit, but it's definitely different from all the other game modes, again, as Jeff was saying in his dev update, in that you don't have one single objective where the entire team is drawn to. And I've often said that this is the difference between Overwatch and a game like Heroes or any MOBA, in that you have one objective, so you don't need to communicate and strategize as much as you do in other games, because it's just you go to the objective, and that's one less thing to worry about. In Capture the Flag, you have two objectives, and so you get a lot of people when they first get into it, sort of going off and doing their thing, trying to cap alone, and figuring out the routes, because it's mostly on Lijiang, but the routes are a little bit different because you're not trying to accomplish the same thing, and the geometry changes a tiny bit. But the thing you have to realize, and I think people are starting to realize even now, is that actually you should treat it roughly as any other mode, in that you need to do team fights, and you need to win a team fight, because by the time you kill one of their enemies, it's going to take enough time for them to come back, that if you're close enough to the flag, you're going to be able to capture it. And so you do need to stay together and to team fight, really. And if you can manage to set up camp on the enemy's flag because you've won enough of the team fight, then you're probably safe to just defend it, and it becomes kind of like a defense point, right? And you get people, they have time to cap one, and then you're defending to try and cap the other one. But it's definitely not as not as balanced, not as, it can feel a lot more one-sided, that's for sure, or it can feel incredibly stalematey if everyone goes turtle and defends super hard, because the other team might not be willing to commit all of their resources, the entire team, to go and cap it. And you should, because if they're defending like they would a point on a capture map, then you do need your entire team to go and cap it. So I think by the time people figure this whole thing out, it's going to be a little bit more enjoyable. But I would still agree that, first of all, the learning curve is painful to go through, and you're still going to have games where no one knows what they're doing, so it's ridiculous, like you discussed, Garrett. And even when you do figure it out, I'm not sure it's as fun as the other modes.
I think I'm curious how much of the weirdness, at least I experienced it again through a sample size of once, is informed by the fact that it's an arcade and people are like, oh, this is where we go to have fun and who cares about the rules? But you're absolutely right, Patrick. Man, at the end of the day, you need to play it like an actual game of Overwatch if you kind of want to have a chance, because it's it's staggering those kills that gives you the opening to actually capture the flag. Even if you're trying to do some of the kind of ridiculous, seemingly broken things that you can do in this game, because I made a joke about Warsong Gulch, but in Capture the Flag and World of Warcraft, there are certain abilities you cannot use. They will force you to drop the flag. Things that make you move faster, or make you teleport, and stuff like that. That is not the case in Overwatch. Capture the Flag, you can use any ability that exists in the game. Your hero is not hindered in any way, shape, or form. Which I think is cool, and especially because it exists in arcade, I'm really glad that's the way they did that. I think it would have, like, this is what I wanted to see, right? I'm not personally loving it, but this is exactly what I wanted to see, is an unhindered version of this. I want to see a world where Tracer can grab the flag and blink. I want to see a world where Sombra can drop her beacon, get the flag, and just recall to her beacon. That's absurd, but I love it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact that you can use the ultimates makes it more fun. But at the same time, I think right now first to 3 is fine. But eventually, once people master like some of the things that you actually even have right here in the notes, which is some screenshots of some of the ultimates being just amazing from the standpoint of capping flags, I think they're going to have to up that, because 3 will just be so fast, if people start to execute, in a better fashion. So I'm super glad too. I'm super glad. Part of me is super glad that you can return the map, like in a very quick way. But at the same time, part of me is like, there would be so many more interesting skirmishes in between the points if you were slower. You were Warsong Gulch, having to just trudge your way all the way back to your base, and it just be very, very just in peril just the entire time, and your teammates have to come and assist you. Lucio has to help you, or D.Va comes and absorbs shots, and there's a team element to that I think it's missing right now too.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, it would make the game very different, and it would mean that you would get even more stalemates and draws, because you get quite a few draws, but they also didn't require you to have your flag in order to cap the flag you carried. So that also makes it a little bit faster. I think one solution to the problem you're talking about might be to delay the spawning of the flag once you've capped it, because now it just spawns and you're,
I think that would be good.
But what Jeff said, I think made sense, was that if you're managing to capture the flag, you've kind of already won the team fight anyway. So you're probably going to be able to cap it no matter what happens, whether or not you're using your abilities, or not. Like we're seeing Sombra recall. You have just enough time on one of the maps to recall at the last second on your flag when you've capped the other ones. And Yada's ult makes him rush like a bike.
It's hard to make it back. I know what you mean.
So yeah, I think it's it would definitely need some reworking if it was a serious game mode. But as it stands, you've been playing with teammates, right? With
Yeah.
friends, and you've been having fun.
I've been having a blast, to be honest. I mean, I have to say, the first time I played it, like you, Carrot, it was kind of like, oh, that was just like kind of short, and we weren't sure what we were doing, obviously, so we all picked very squishy, super fast, like the Sombras and the Tracers, trying out just very obvious things right off the bat. But then you quickly realize that defensive characters, especially turret-based characters and sentry-based characters like Symmetra and Torbjorn, have a very distinct role, a very important role in this format compared to just normal competitive, right? And it's because just very obvious reasons, right? You can defend your point, you can defend your flag just with the turret, but even more so is that every time you get damaged while you're trying to cap the flag, it starts over. So like if there's a turret there, you cannot cap the flag. Like it's just impossible to do so.
Yeah,
unless you have a teammate that's just like absorbing it, like a diva or whatnot.
Yeah, and turrets were definitely not annoying enough before.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then the Symmetra turrets. I mean, you get slowed so much, and you can't just go stealth and back cap, really really quickly, which you would think you would want to be able to do. Like it would be kind of cool if you were able to do that, given that you don't have to have the flag whenever you return it, and there could be these race scenarios, which would be pretty fun to encounter, or at least to have to deal with in a game, which would be different than most CTF games. But yeah, so anyways, that's the first thing I noticed is like, yeah, those characters have much bigger roles in this. Some of the more traditional ones, not as much, but it might be because we haven't gotten into just crazy team fights, like Reinhardt, for instance. I don't think Reinhardt's necessarily that important of a character compared to some of the other tanks, when it comes to trying to just win that first team fight or win that first skirmish and get there. But so that was definitely really, really cool. Then there were other characters too that I felt on certain maps had a very unique strength, or they were crazy advantageous, like Mei, for instance. Mei on Lijiang Tower Control Center, if you get into your opponent's flag, you can just keep walling off that entrance, and then like you create numbers for yourself, as well as you can just delay, and cap, and then have your teammate just be able to just return the flag really, really quickly. So I've been playing a lot with Mei just to try to leverage that. But you guys are right from the standpoint is their team fights are super important. Like to even just swing the battle, we tended to defend first. Once we won that first team fight, then we would push up depending on the map, because the distance between the maps are quite different on all three of them. Like Control Center is super close, so if you win the first battle at your flag, you can actually get to the second flag before they're all organized and ready to go on their side. So that one's actually really, really easy, where team fights are super important. But some of the others, the distance is a lot longer, so it's not something you'll necessarily do. You'll kind of edge your way up there, and try to, I think both teams kind of try to figure out where to fight. But once that first one's down, then Patrick, like you mentioned, people try to stay on the point so they can get multiple flags, right? And that makes it a challenge. So it's a little snowballing from that sense. I think,
Sure.
Some of the maps, it is hard to even retake it because of whatever. There's a choke, or it's, like your opponent can just like set up in a really crazy powerful way, even with like turrets. Like a tournament can actually set up a turret to defend your flag, which is crazy. But for me though, I've really, really enjoyed, and especially that the other characters that you don't necessarily get to play a ton actually have like a lot of relevance in this mode.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful. I think there's too many little issues to make it a competitive format anytime soon, but there is distinct potential, and it's so different than the others too. Like the way it plays out, it would be so entertaining to see a completely different format versus a single control point versus a double control point or a payload, which we've just seen basically the same compositions right now.
It would be interesting to see pros play those games to see how they deal with the format.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see
how much they abuse it.
Yeah,
I think find ways of super abusing it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting just to see maps specifically made for this mode to address some of the issues I think that you mentioned, Chris. But overall, talking to you guys now, you've shifted my my opinion. The more I think about it, I'm surprised it's as successful as it is. The fact that we're kind of all sitting here being like, yeah, no, normal Overwatch rules apply here. Team fights are still important. Like, that's a success because it does seem like initially, like, because of stuff like Zenyatta getting the flag and popping Transcendence, Sombra just recalling, Winston, also in the notes here, just popping his ult and just jumping infinitely back to his flag
the
point.
Sombra is the craziest one.
Yeah,
though. He literally it's instant.
It seems like that type of stuff would just make this mode instantly dismissible, but it's hard as shit to pull that stuff off, like really hard.
Exactly. And the thing is, again, as Jeff said in his dev update, if you manage to cap the flag, then you've won the team fight already. It's really doubtful that the opposing team would manage to catch you anyway if they were, if you have the flag and you're doing it properly. It's not like being able to cap it instantly is going to change anything. The bigger problem is that they can retake it very quickly because they're set up on the point and there's nothing you can do, even if you regroup and you wait for everyone to spawn, then probably they're going to be able to cap a second one immediately anyway. So
and it's in theory 5-on-6 during that time. But Sombra again, like Sombra's the only character, or in maybe even like Zenyatta and when I saw the Winston thing too. Those are the characters I would say that I kind of wish you would drop it if you could, if you used your ultimate. Everything else is fine, for me. Like the blinking of Tracer is fine for me, but the ultimates are just like almost instant caps in a way, and it just helps with the snowballing thing, because if you can get to your point like Sombra and then get back in time to still contribute to that second team fight, then it's crazy snowball. And it's not, and obviously it's less fun when snowball like that.
Yeah, there's ways you could do. I mean, you already mentioned, a delay on the flag reappearing, right? That would help, I think, a lot. That would go a long way to helping with that. But also, if this became its own thing and they made maps specifically for this mode, they would probably design it in the way where it's a little more difficult for the enemy team to set up in your flag room.
Probably, yeah.
Not to mention, like, with if there is somebody super good, say Sombra is just like by default the super good, the way to recap the flag, then that character is going to be picked every single time. You know what I mean? Sure. Like in this type of format, and how they are with maps, and they want the balance to change, right? They want some type of rotation with the characters. It's pretty hard to get around an instant transport back to your flag. I mean,
but at the same time, I mean, you have to drop your teleporter and then.
Oh, I guess that's not even an ultimate. That's not even an ultimate.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
it's
God,
not.
Yeah, that's even.
Yeah,
that's even
so
tougher.
but you have to drop the teleporter, rush to the place, quickly, and make sure that you are able to cap it fast enough. So I'm not sure it's as easy to pull off as people might think. But still, I mean, by the way, what do you think about the new Sombra? Have you had any experience with the nerfed, not nerfed, but buffed version of Sombra?
I've only played her twice, but and I'm not so sure if it's because I just haven't played her that much before, but her hack range, which didn't change, I feel like is a lot longer than I originally thought, because I've been trying things out, because I was talking with some other people about how hacking from like a second level, just like with elevation, is actually surprisingly long. So I've been doing that a little bit more. I'm like, wow, this is, I'm surprised I can actually reach a lot of the people like in a team fight down below whenever I'm doing it. But the hacking itself, I think is like like 1 second to 0.8. I can't really notice
it's
too much.
0.8, yeah.
Yeah, I don't notice that too much, but the cooldown does. It is very noticeable, the cooldown that you can get it like a second earlier. It's, I don't know. I still haven't been able to like use it that much in a crazy effective way, but yeah. So for me, I just haven't played it enough. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
I haven't really played Sombra. I've wrecked some divas and been wrecked by Roadhog. That's roughly my experience. But yeah, Garrett, you were gonna.
I never really. I really played quite a bit of Sombra when she first came out, and then kind of fell off of her because it was just. just kind of seemed like there were easier ways to win. like I could put less effort in and have a better, an easier experience. But that being said, I still really I enjoy the hero. I enjoy the kit quite a bit, and like the buffs to hack specifically. Like I never really had an issue before hacking. It seemed really good then. It seems slightly better now. So I'm on board.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's nice, but at our level, I don't think it matters that much because
well, the cooldown I think changes things.
It does
basically always have someone hacked, more or less.
You can, but the hardest part is just hacking somebody. It's
right.
And just how effective really just hacking one character is. Well, they
that's-
can still shoot me with their guns. Like I hack a DPS guy, he still shoots me. It's like okay.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, Patrick. It was, I mean, at the end of the day, that does reward you for better play, right? If you are actually that good with I think a more difficult to play hero, then you are rewarded by being able to just chain your hack.
Jeff was saying in the other developer update we're not going to cover as much, the one where he said, actually, PTR, it's for testing that the game isn't broken, not entirely to test out balance. So
Right.
Don't freak out about the balance too much. It's not just for that. But so in that one, he said that people haven't really mastered Sombra yet. So he's expecting maybe to see her played a little bit more in the future in a slightly different way. So we'll see.
It was exactly what Garrett said, though, I think, with Sombra. And you see in the pro scene, too. Not a lot of teams have experimented with Sombra. There's only like 1 or 2 teams that I can say that have done it regularly, use Sombra on specific maps, especially with this 4-tank, 3-tank meta. It's just easier to play a different way. Like just get one of the big tanks that doesn't die very quick, and you have like an Ana on your team just healing you the whole time. That's so much easier, right, than having to like skulk around and try to get some hacks, on health packs and where you can, and then get it and then just dive in with an EMP. It's just much. It has to be worth it. It has to be just super powerful. And it's hard to balance that. It's hard to not make it too overpowered, where it's just going to be played every time. So I think it is a matter of just getting more time, having the meta evolve into maybe a dive comp would make, Sombra super good if that became popular. But right now it's just like, okay, if I sacrifice this for her toolkit, then, I lose synergy with the rest of what I'm doing. Yeah, you really need a full out synergistic composition to really match what she does.
Yeah. I think we're getting closer there. I don't know about you guys. I'm definitely noticing a lot more communication, like use of team chat, for crying out loud, like way more than I ever have before. I don't know what it is, but it's been.
We have a button now. We have a button that says join team chat now. Did you guys see that?
But you could always join team chat.
No, but there's an actual button on the.
But you press P.
I know, but
I don't get it.
No, there's an actual physical button when it shows, when you're starting the game that says join team chat. You just click the mouse, you click your mouse on the join team chat right off the start.
Aren't you joined by default anyway? Weren't you joined before?
No.
Not in your first game, though. Your first game, you have to go pee, and then you have to go and click on that.
Yes, you have to go pee before your first game.
Maybe I set up the thing joined by default. I don't know.
Oh, is there a join by default? Maybe there isn't. I always have to set it the first time.
Okay.
But now there's a button that, there's no excuse for people not to join it right off the bat, because it's like literally right in front of your face.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm always on team chat. I don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have it set the default as well, but it didn't mean I always heard people talking in there. Maybe that's why. It's because of that button. There's a lot more people chatting. I had a game the other night where everyone was talking smack to each other, and then somewhere along the lines, actually, I'm just going to tell the exact story. This what sounded like a young kid is talking smack, and one of the guys said more along my age goes, yeah, it's coming from the 12-year-old that sounds like a girl, and the person goes, that's because I am a girl. And the smack talk stopped. Everyone just started laughing and palling around, and we had gotten pushed off the payload point really quickly on Numbani, and and just I don't know, like all of a sudden we were friends and we just kicked trash. We just kicked their trash all over the map after that point. It was hysterical. I've never noticed, like it seemed so social, like it seemed like it was a social point. It was a point where we stopped giving each other a hard time and started just laughing, having a good time. That's when we were just like, all right, let's kill him.
That's
Loved
cool.
it.
That's really cool. That's a great
really
story.
Cool.
Yeah. Not to mention, I was dying when she just goes, "That's because I am a girl." I'm just like, "Oh, you jackasses!" So that was great.
It's kind of funny. Once there's a female in the group, then all of a sudden there's this etiquette that ends up kicking in.
Well, it wasn't like an etiquette because she was really dishing it back and great. Delightful smartass. And there was still like we were still poking at each other after we had that big laugh, but it was all kind of friendly and we were like, all right, cool, let's get together and just kill him. And it was good. It was good. Nice. That's when we started actually calling out helpful information too. Like, oh, there's a Reaper about to drop in, and the Diva just started laughing maniacally because the Reaper drops and does Death Blossom, and Diva just puts up her shield, and she's just like, why would you do that? Why would you're a moron? Like, I'm just like, I love it. This is great. We're just talking smack and kicking ass. It was a good time. So that was fun. Anyway, talk to people, make friends, people. That's my thing that
your
leads with
advice
today.
for the day.
Yep. And moving on anyway. So we talked a little bit about hacking on our last episode, and I think it was a day or two after we posted that episode. News came out that over 10,000 Overwatch cheaters were banned in Korea in wake of the nuking attacks. Damn.
Right.
That's a lot of bans. That is a lot of bans.
You know, in Korea, you know, whenever you well, outside of the PC banks, I'm not sure how that works there, but you know, if you do have like a personal account, there's no way you're going to be playing Overwatch again.
Yeah.
You know, they have all of your. I think you might have to have like your social security or something. You know, like there's some crazy amounts of personal identification to actually get an account.
I think that changed. There was a law in Korea requiring everyone to be personally identified for everything they did online for a few years. I think that changed. So I don't know if it's still the case. But, I mean, yeah, it's definitely, you know, 10,000 people. That's a lot of people. They're also suing the maker of one of the hack software. It's not the nuking one. It's another one. So, I mean, it's basically what we were talking about in the previous episode. They're going hard after all of those guys, and it usually takes a little bit of time before they manage to do it, because they need to identify exactly what's happening and blah blah blah. So the nuking thing was more DDoS attacks. Basically, they would DDoS the person that was they wanted to you know, stuff that they wanted to stop playing. So it wasn't like it didn't have to do with servers and stuff like that, like we discussed last time. But yeah, so anyway, they're going after them. Excellent. That's what we wanted to see. So good job, Blizzard.
Yeah.
Indeed. So before we move on, let's thank some patrons who are supporting us over at patreon.com/Overwatchers. As we've mentioned in the past, folks, this type of thing, we have multiple shows, but podcasting is how the three of us make our living. So supporting us via Patreon for whatever show it is that you're enjoying the most is how we make our money. You are our bosses, so we really do appreciate everyone supporting us over at patreon.com/Overwatchers. Huge thanks to our producers, LVE.Game and Bloody Shy, but also the following patrons this week. Thank you to Bruce W, Chris F, Alex W, Ian L, Jacob P, Dan M, Hans S, and Joey A. No last name givens this week. That's 2 shows this week that everyone had a last name or it was just a handle. So, but I have to mention it because it's just become a podcast meme at this point. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you so much.
Which means now, Patrick, at the top, it seemed like you maybe needed a little therapy again. So,
well,
recline in your
weeks,
comfortable therapy chair and tell us what's on your mind.
So I've been climbing the ranks regularly, and I reached 2250 roughly. So that's over 500 SR points above what I started as. So that's, really, I think it's pretty good. But I was sort of hoping that I could go into high gold and maybe even go to plat. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I've been going in the past 2 or 3 days into a pretty bad, not horrible losing streak, but I've been losing more than I've been winning, and that is not what had been happening in the previous month. I was winning 60-70% of my games. Now I'm losing maybe 60% in the past. As I said, 3 days. So I'm down to 2,100 roughly. And yesterday was really hard because I thought about it in a scientific manner, and I tried to figure out how long it was going to take me to climb, if I was ever going to climb. And if you have a 60% win rate, then for every 10 game you win, you're going to win 6 and lose 4, right? That makes sense. So you're going to win 2 you're going to have a net positive of 2 games. Let's say you win 25 points per game. Usually it's closer to 20, I think, but let's be generous and say 25. That's going to net you 50 points for every 10 games at a 60% win rate, right? 50 games for 10 games, that's an average of 5 points per game. And every game takes about 20 minutes. You need a lot of time to rank up. So unless your actual skill is much higher than your current rank, in which case you're probably going to be gaining a lot more points every win, but still. So I've been confronted with that reality, and I've been trying to play a lot more, figuring I'm going to take the time. My wife is away at the moment. I can play many hours every day, and it's not been going super well. So it was tilting me, and I was like back into that. Oh my God, what can I do? It's out of my control. And I think what's happening is that I'm hitting the gold skill issues. I've sort of managed to figure out how to deal with the silver skill things, how to rank up, how to beat the other team. In gold, it's kind of different. And people, when I've been saying you need to stay alive, you need to run away if you're dying, guess what? That's what they're doing. So I'm not managing to kill them. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm in that mode. I'm sort of trying to figure it out, and we'll see if I can go back up a little bit, but right now I'm a little bit discouraged, but I'll keep going. And one of the things I've learned, which was making me feel really bad, was it's not necessarily soldiers, soldier alone who is going to be taking out Pharahs, because I've been meeting a lot of pretty good Pharahs recently. And if they're good, they're not going to be close enough that you can really deal with them as soldier, and you need your whole team to sort of pay attention to Pharah. So when you get someone on chat at those levels who's like, soldier, why aren't you dealing with Pharah? And I was
it's just every single chat, basically.
Exactly.
I don't believe that actually changes with rank all that much, Patrick.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I don't believe that changes with rank all that much. I hear from my friends in every league that's basically what is screamed.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, what the effect it had on me was that I felt I'm not aiming well enough, and I should be taking her down, and it was really, really hard. I was focusing her, and I thought, I was just not good enough at soldier to be in a gold rank. And what I've researched it a little bit by some kind of serendipitous, thing. I saw a few videos that said, actually, that's not necessarily as easy. It's not like soldier shows up and all of a sudden Pharah drops dead. You need your whole team to pay attention, or at least some help from, I don't know, an Ana or an orb.
It's usually Ana
or something.
Yeah.
And so, it makes me feel I've also been taking it maybe a little bit more lightly. I've fallen back into, okay, I'll just go in and I can kill stuff and that's going to work. And I've been noticing that I'm not doing as well as I did when I was really focused on paying attention on everything. So comp is not easy. You need to be focused. And so anyway, that's my update. The main thing is, don't necessarily blame your soldier for not destroying Pharah in a second. That's the strategy part of it. But yeah, so basically I'm at 2100 now, went up to 2250. I think that's okay, even if I stop there for the season. We'll see what happens next season, but I'm still going to be trying to rank up a little bit more. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you have a link in the show notes, which, folks, if you've never checked out the show notes, every time this show is posted on like via podcast, you can go to amove.tv/overwatchers and find the show notes. But if you haven't checked it out, you should go over to the Unit Lost Great British Gaming YouTube channel and watch his video called "How to Counter Pharah," and then in parentheses, pro tip: it's not just Soldier 76's job. And while this video does seem a little bit like a player who's just annoyed with his team and wants to lecture them about how it's not always Soldier's job, there is actually a lot. It explains it very well, even though it's a little lectury. So I would recommend going and watching it.
When a Pharah has a mercy on her too, it's almost it's very, very difficult for Soldier to deal with both, because mercy heals really quickly. So you actually have to have help to kill that combo. Yeah.
And I would be in those situations, that or Zen Orb, or these kinds of things, and I would be in those situations, and so I would switch to Mercy, try to get the Mercy down, but then Mercy would drop down, and Pharah would be shooting at me. The thing is, people think Soldier is a hard counter to Pharah, which he kind of is, but if Pharah is shooting at Soldier, it's really difficult to do anything, because you're still trying to shoot her, and she does a lot of damage, and especially if she's being healed as well. I've had a few games with great Ana players in the enemy team, and Ana can keep everyone alive so well, and a Pharah up, at least when there's a Mercy, you realize there's a Mercy up there with her. With an Ana, she can be on the other side of the map and healing Pharah super effectively, and you can never get her down. So it's a whole new set of problems in gold.
I would counter that with at our, I feel like at our rank, Patrick, because Pharah is currently like my homework is learn to play her better, because it seems to be the make or break. If there's a good Pharah on our team, we do well. If there is no Pharah or a mediocre Pharah, we don't do as well. So Pharah is my current homework, but I haven't really come across an Ana in my at my level that is any good at landing heals on a flying Pharah.
It is hard.
And that's not me getting on. I can't do it. So that's not me getting on people being like, I can do it. I can't. I'm terrible at it. So I would say the most annoying things at my league are Mercy, obviously, but also Zenyatta orbs. Zenyatta orbs, because you can just get out of views for a few seconds and you're healed up and jump back up and start being a pain in the butt again.
Exactly, it's funny, because Zenyatta Orb is a great way to heal, but at the same time, I think in that gold, plat, like just all the way through plat, and maybe even a tiny bit of diamond, Zenyatta Discord fixes a lot of issues. Like, it fixes just lack of shooting efficiency or damage efficiency from DPS. So I think he's super important I think in this range of silver, gold, and platinum. But then he drops off like completely once the Anas are actually super good. Yeah. When Anas are actually super good and Soldiers are super good, then Zenyatta is not as necessary. But I don't know how many times it's like, okay, we're having trouble, let's fix it, let's put Zenyatta in there, and then you can melt tanks faster, you can kill Pharahs like even with a Mercy on them, much faster. So that's one thing to consider too, is just to suggest your teammates play Zenyatta to help out.
Yeah, keep the Soldier, but
keep the
Zenyatta,
sure.
Because one of the
of course,
the
you need Soldier to pick off the Pharah.
I think the biggest point that's made in Unit Lost's YouTube video is, guys, Soldier 76 has damage drop off past medium range. Yeah. It's hard as hell to hit a Pharah from long range as anyone, including as a Soldier, and B, you're not doing full damage at that type of range, even if you are successful in landing those shots. So something like a Discord Orb closes the gap rapidly on your kind of your burden of execution.
Yeah, and again, it's about taking Pharah, like just threatening her too. So if she doesn't have a Mercy on her, even if you just like Discord and hit her a few times, like 3 or 4 bullets or something, it's in a position where she won't be in the air again, because she's going to be afraid to die. So she'll have to like disengage. So there's lots of good things about the Discord Orb.
I think if you manage to be aggressive enough that you damage her enough to shut her down, she might switch if you do it early on. If you let her be effective in the first half of the game, for example, even if you do damage her a little bit after that, she's going to keep going. So it becomes really hard. But I've also had, what rank are you, Garrett? I can't remember.
I'm in gold.
Okay. So I think I've gotten some bad luck. You know, we were talking about statistical anomalies previously, and I've gotten some bad luck, and I've gotten some really good Pharahs and some really good Annas, actually. Like, I can't imagine they're just gold level. They were shooting from, like, across the map. They were tiny in the, you know, and they were staying so far away and managing to do so much splash damage. It felt like this wasn't just gold level play. And so that made me feel like, coming back to my psychological state, I'm just not good as soldier because I'm not managing to shut her down. But I think it wasn't only that. And my aim has been getting better as well. And I know that there are a lot of, you know, aim training exercises that people tell you to do, and I've tried them a little bit. But I found that, for me at least, there's no better aiming exercise than just going in game and trying to aim better and be focused on that. So that's what I've been doing. And I noticed that, you know, I've actually only been playing FPSs seriously for about a year. So I figured it's normal that I don't have a super good aim yet. It takes time to acquire those skills. And yes, I could be going and, you know, learning to do something useful like cooking or carpentry or something. But by gosh, I'm just going to be learning how to aim in a pointless virtual game. That's what I'm going to do. So there you go.
I have to say one thing about aiming, because I've recently been I've been ranking down because of this, but I've been trying to play some more DPS characters just because, I mean, I had a little to do with my son and like trying to play 1v1, but I mean, like even in games, like I've been trying to do it, and to fill too, to be honest, because we talked a lot about just like playing your best character, but there gets to a point where filling is actually more advantageous, you know, for the team overall. You know, if you can, obviously, if you're flexible enough to play like multiple characters. So I've been, you know, trying to play soldiers some more, and one thing that I realized that I did, or been lazy about, like, and especially since I've been playing, you know, non-hit scanning characters, is that my mouse settings just are not conducive for DPS, or it wasn't, and I've been trying to like tweak that. So,
did you have too high a sensitivity?
Definitely way too high, because like, you know, with Reinhardt, I like to, you know, 180 things and, you know, just like be able to turn super fast. And I hate lifting the mouse too, but I think that, you know, if you're going to be able to track in a very smooth way, you know, you're going to have to be in a position where you're going to have to make large arm movements and have to lift the mouse sometimes, you know, if you actually want to be good.
It's one of the very first things. I think this came up on the show before you joined, Chris. I think it was a tip that Patrick had brought up, like in the very early days of this show. Obviously not so early because we started the show after the BlizzCon announcement, but I think it was when we were in the beta. And I'm like you, man, like, because I primarily played like MOBAs and MMOs, and back in the day, I liked such a high sensitivity that most of my movement was happening in my wrist, not even in my arm.
Right.
And that's just how I preferred things. And once I made that switch, like once I really like drug down that sensitivity in a shooter like Overwatch, I'm just like, my God, where was this back in the day when I was playing original Counter-Strike and TF2 and like, what, I've been doing it so wrong all these years.
Exactly.
It's impossible to aim if you have high sensitivity, and all of those, you know, gaming mice, they tell you have 16,000 DPS.
Yeah,
and you're like, what? Like,
why would I ever
the
want
setup
that?
For the people who had listened to the previous episode where we discussed this, basically most proper players set the DPS to 800, the dot per. Oh, DPI. Sorry, I said DPI.
Yeah. They set their DPS to high, and then they win, because that's how it works.
So it's 800, and then you go into the sensitivity for Overwatch, and you go, you know, between 4 and 8 is usually what people do. I'm at 5. I think I'm comfortable with 5, but if you're doing anything, you know, higher than 800, you can divide those. It's roughly equivalent if you like double the DPI, and then anyway. If your DPI is too high, if your sensitivity is too high, you're just not going to be able to aim. No way, you can't do it. So that's the first thing you should do if you're trying to aim better.
I also noticed
you can't track things. You know, that's the biggest thing. It's being like the most obvious thing is when you're playing, you know, Zarya, or even if you're doing those aim booster thing, or just aim training apps or websites or whatever. There's always a mode where it's just like you're just tracing this dot, following this dot. You know, trying to keep your mouse pointer on it. And that's the most telling thing. If you can't stay on that dot relatively decently, then like your sensitivity is not even close to what it should be, because you know when you're waving your arm, it's much easier, right, to stay with it versus like just twitching your wrist. I mean, there's not very much you can actually physically twitch, and there's a lot of like, you know, little pixels that you can move your mouse. So it just makes sense that it would require larger movements.
What did you set it to?
Gosh, I have to look. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was like substantially higher with the setting. You know, the numbers like substantially higher than it was before, so, at least in Overwatch itself. So I haven't gotten like into my mouse settings and stuff quite yet, but I definitely just been starting to play with different things, and it hasn't really affected my Reinhardt play either. So I've been easing it up, or easing, you know, the sensitivity to be less sensitive, just so it doesn't just make me a bad Reinhardt player. So
cussing is allowed. It's okay.
Yeah.
I believe I have said the S word at least 3 times, and you've said cock I don't know how many times on this episode. So
That's true.
But yeah, and also as just side note, I noticed after I made the changes to my mouse sensitivity for Overwatch, it made me significantly more accurate in Heroes of the Storm. I've been doing it wrong all these years.
There you go.
But I did go into World of Warcraft and jack the sensitivity in game up super high, because I don't need that level of accuracy in WoW, and it just drives me nuts. So
auto targeting.
Does it make your arms? Does it? You know, you guys have been doing it, or both of you guys have been doing it a lot longer than me. Does it actually make your arm tired, or you know, just from a standpoint of?
I've noticed that I want my chair a little higher so that my elbow rest is more level with my actual desktop. So when I'm kind of doing the whole arm on the desk, I'm not getting like pinches in on the bottom of my arm or anything like that. When I first started doing it, I was I had my chair in a really bad position, and it was causing arm pain. But now I've more or less figured it out. I think it'll be different for most people.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I noticed the same thing. I'm like pretty high on my chair now.
Yeah. Like I noticed I'm actually like resting my feet on the casters instead of on the floor, because it's like apparently, I don't know. I guess I'm all torso or something. I'm a tall guy. I guess I'm all torso though, because my legs aren't super stoked with the height of my chair while playing an FPS right now. But anyways, moving on. There's been some really fun things in the community since we last got together, and I'm gonna just jump right down to the No Mercy, the Living Tombstone video. Oh my freaking god, guys! If you haven't gone to the Mashed YouTube channel and watched the No Mercy, the Living Tombstone song, goodness gracious me, this is what an earworm. And I just love the characters that they have created, or shall I say, pulled from reality for this song.
You know, it's just so catchy. It's so well written. I listen to it just not for the fun Overwatch part anymore, or partly, but also it's just so fun. And you know, you start singing along with them, and it's a really great song.
It's very good. I highly recommend everyone go out and check it. If you're in the mood for something a little more less PG rated, you should check out over on Bash Your Verse. That's BASHUR Verse. The Real Junkrat, where a gentleman who has a bang up Junkrat impression talks like Junkrat the entire time while playing Junkrat on team chat and blows his teammates' minds. However, he does not keep it like PG like Overwatch is. He cusses the paint off the walls, which surprisingly works for Junkrat. It works okay. It's kind of like hearing the Joker swear, which is actually, I would argue, out of character, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless.
It's pretty amazing. The guy has like an uncanny ability to. I was wondering if it might not have been, the actor, the voice actor who does Junkrat, because it's exactly that. And he's like, initially people are like, oh wait, do you have like a soundboard or something? What is this? And he's like, and he answers, he's like, soundboard? Like, no, I don't have a soundboard. Well, I'm not doing it well, obviously. But he's like giving, he's not just being an idiot.
He's funny.
He's actually
funny.
playing and like giving, doing call outs and like saying what he's gonna. It's perfect.
He's doing it all in character, right? Yeah, it's fantastic. His jokes to people who are saying it was a soundboard were really funny. He's like, yes, clearly I've made a soundboard because I knew you were going to say exactly that. And then he starts like finding people with fun names and just saying their names over and over again. And then other people on the team are like, "Do mine."
It was funny because initially it was someone who posted it from the perspective of one of the teammates, because they must have been in that game, and they posted it on Reddit, and Reddit went crazy. And then the guy obviously captured the thing as well. So he posted it from his perspective. But what chances are there that they're going to be a Reddit? Well, actually, every game I'm sure has half the team is on Reddits all the time anyway. But that was great. And then there's there's a couple more here. But the latest video from Dino Flask, if you don't remember who he is, he's the gentleman who does super cuts or crazy edits of Jeff Kaplan's dev update videos to make him say different things. Like he cuts the phrases and uses words from different videos to make him say things that the community has been wondering about or thinking or complaining about.
Generally complaining about.
There he is. I was wondering why it was so funny, and because it's just Jeff saying stupid things. Why is it so good? And I think Dino Flask is an amazing writer. He just makes it like he has a grasp of comedy that is fantastic. And he manages to ramp up. Many of you have heard it already, I'm sure, but he manages to ramp up to that phrase that has become legendary. I think they are going to have to do something about this in games somehow. But he ramps up to Jeff saying, "Wrestle with Jeff, prepare for death." And it's natural, and it feels, and it drops fantastically, and everyone's been referencing it. Now it's like wrestle with Jeff, prepare for death everywhere. It's fantastic. Go check it out for sure.
Those videos. For those of you that have no idea how to know anything about video editing, it is so time consuming to make videos like that, and it actually makes me wonder sometimes if he's just like continuing to make an inventory of just words from Jeff, and literally has them categorized and organized so that he can just pull them. Because can you imagine making one of those videos? It would take me so long to make one of those videos, even if I knew somebody gave me the writing, the script for it.
He might have a transcript. I know that YouTube, creates subtitles, or maybe he just transcripted them, and now has a transcript, and maybe he can do a simple search to find a word. But it's still a huge amount of work. I can't imagine he just, every time he's trying to construct a sentence, he goes out and hunts for a specific word.
Oh yeah, definitely not
entire video library.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I think you're probably more right than you think you might be, Chris. Like, I bet he does have it cataloged at this point, because this is one of those things, like, the more you make these, he probably just figured out the best way to do it. I have a bizarrely large collection of Blizzard artwork that's categorized so that when I need to make like a title image, I can just be like, oh, I need that thing, and just type it in, and poof, I've got the full res giant. It holds up well at 720p. Like, I've got it. It takes me a minute. But that, like, back in the day, that was not the case. It was hours poring over Google image search. But I'm sure he's figured out his basically like his own personal assembly line, his own one-man assembly line on how to put these together. I'm sure it still takes a lot of work, and it's mighty impressive. But I hope it's gotten easier for him by now.
And then there are a couple more I wanted to talk about. One of them is super easy. It's just someone on Reddit suggested a fun game mode for April Fools. It was the funny smiley said we should get a game mode where all of the heroes' abilities and ultimates are randomized. That would be amazing.
Oh my God.
Incredible.
It definitely sounds like they can do it because I
Yeah.
remember talking to, I think, was it Jeff Goodman at one point, and who was in charge of balance, and he was telling me they used to just throw, like when they were first coming up with concepts and things, they don't want to bother with skins and just making these models, right? So they just throw abilities into, like, say, an Hanzo skin or whatever, right? And it's just so they have something, at least a shell to work with. So it totally sounds like they can do something like that, and that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be like he gives a few examples just to make you laugh. He's saying, for example, Roadhog using Tracer's Blink.
Oh yeah,
incredible, things like that. So anyway, that was a quick one. And the last one I really want to mention is a video I found again on Reddit. PM Santos posted it, and it's a video that a group of friends made to honor one of their friends who unfortunately died earlier in the year. And they made one of those videos where you go into a custom game and you get a lot of the same character and do their abilities all at the same time and their ultimates and things like that. And they went to Eichenwald and started shooting stuff into the sun on the bridge right before the second point. And the fact that they did it for their friend who is dead has, seeing all of those people getting together and doing that gun salute into the sun, it's kind of, emotionally effective, I guess. It's taxing. I got a little bit choked up just watching it. So I just wanted to mention it because it's really beautiful, and it even, like, visually, it's really pretty. So go check it out if you have a little bit of time. And that friend is called Willem den Toom. And he passed away this year. He was born in 1981, and I thought it was a really beautiful thing they did. So there you go. I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, these are the kind of things that I kind of, elevate our love of the game. I think beyond a level that we normally think about it. This is the kind of thing I remember seeing back in the day, in the early days of World of Warcraft, that made me think of the relationships I've made within the game. I don't know, like in a more serious way than I think I ever had before, and now it's happening in Overwatch as well. So, yeah. And
it's like these videos too, and we're always having a lot of fun with just everything that we see on Reddit and folks, for the most part, just trying to do just really cute things. But this is when things like this happen, you really get a sense for just how artistic you can express yourself and express even real life feelings and have some meaning to it with just this game, right? This game and the ability that we have now to make videos from this game. And it's really cool. It just makes this game even deeper than we typically think of other games. So I don't know. It's awesome. It's actually really, really great when we see it. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is totally that.
Just go watch it. I think all of this this episode's community roundup videos and things, all the videos, they're just great. Go check it out. Go to the show notes, check them out. I guarantee you'll enjoy them.
Also, when I die, please go do something ridiculous in a video game. Please.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys remember that old WoW video where the an in-game funeral turned into a massive PvP brawl?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember.
I think that's what I want.
Sad.
Like that's what I want to come of my untimely passing. Just in-game anarchy. That's what I want.
We'll keep that in mind, but statistically, you'll be the one doing it at our untimely passing. Because, as we discussed, you just turned 30, and we have a few years on you.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Well, Patrick, I will.
Asian though. I got plus 10 years, right? For being
Is this the year? What is that? Your racial passive? Like,
Oh, goodness. My racial passive. Oh man.
racial passive lives longer than average other
Caucasian people.
Yeah, that's great. You're a ridiculous human being, Chris. Thank you. So Chanman, trying to segue.
Okay.
I'm doing a terrible job. What's going on in Overwatch Esports?
Yeah, with esports, there hasn't been, I would say a ton of things going on in the last 2 weeks. But for the most part, it's been two events that have been, dominating, I guess, the news for esports. The first one being Apex Season 2. That started up again in Korea. And for those of you that don't know what it is, it's the big Korean league that's hosted by OGN and has, obviously the best Korean teams involved. But now they have 4 of the best Western teams there. They're going to be, I guess, hanging out in Korea for 3 months, these teams. So, definitely OGN is going to be nabbing them up. You're not going to be able to play any other tournaments. But NV, C9, or Cloud9, Fnatic, and Misfits are playing now. And they're all in different groups. So each of the groups have 4 teams, and it's very GSL style, where they actually, it's not quite GSL, but they battle out in the groups, and then the winner of each groups come out, and they'll have that top 4 bracket at the end. But so far, NV and C9 have been rolling, at least in the first matches. They won their first match, and it's obviously huge to win your first match, so you're not under the gun to win the next 2 to get through. But Fnatic and Misfits, they've been struggling a lot. Fnatic, this is the first time they've played in Korea. This is different stage, and it's probably has a lot to do with why they didn't perform too well a few nights ago. But Misfits, they're still struggling ever since the trade, still trying to figure out just how to get all of this talent and versatile talent together and figure out what the best best composition and balance or meta it's going to be for them. So we'll see what happens actually after all these patches rolled too. Hopefully that's going to be better for them. But yeah, so far they haven't quite gotten it going.
I mean, you're getting me really excited by invoking GSL in any way, shape, or form. That was that was my first, and I still think to this day like one of the easiest to follow.
GSL.
Yeah.
I think so too.
There were
the brackets in the groups is always a really interesting thing.
Yeah, they broke the games up so well. It was easy to follow. It was like every night it was like, oh, we'll see 4 teams, or in the case of GSL, 4 people play.
Yeah,
and it was a very digestible format. But also the fact that these teams that you said are going to be over there for 3 months. I mean, that's going to be trial by fire. So.
Yeah, it's definitely trial by fire, and some teams become crazy successful and elevate themselves like envious, right? And then some of them are more like a Reunited before, right? Reunited was in Korea last season, and they didn't get a chance to really put up some big results. So a lot of people are excited about Cloud9. Cloud9, we've been waiting for Cloud9 with their newer lineup, and they recently had another addition, or at least a swap with players where Gods joined Cloud9 and seems to be working really, really well from them. And then Kai not only was benched, but apparently he's been trying out for the coaching position for Envious, so a completely different team. So I'm not sure that's where that is from the standpoint of finalizing something like that, but a big change there. Kaikai's been one of the original players on the roster. So we're really getting down to 1 or 2 players. I think 1 or 2 Surefour, and I think maybe 2 players left from the original roster from Cloud9. Seeing a pretty big rotation there. But it's good to see them starting to finally get rolling, and they have so many notable players on their team that they could be one of those teams that fan favorites, I guess you could say. So a lot of people rooting for them there, but Misfits is still the enigma right now. Like lots of people, lots of players that we've known from Rogue like Tavik and Reinforce, and just waiting for that team to really break out. But yeah, so anyways, that's Apex. I wish it was at a better hour. It's just like GSL, we have to stay up until like 4 a.m. just to watch it live. And if it was actually at a great time, it would be getting like tons of viewership. So it's a struggle, obviously, being in Korea and all and whatnot. I usually end up watching the VODs the next day, kind of like GSL used to be too.
Yeah, that's how I used to do it, and that's I think that's why still to this day, I mean, a lot of things I just end up watching on VODs because like when I first started getting into esports, that was just really my only sane option because I ain't staying up till 4 a.m. That's ridiculous, especially now.
You can catch the VODs. You can catch the Twitch VODs at twitch.tv/OGN Global if you want to do that. One good thing about having the top teams actually over in Korea is that we're able to have some tournaments that that give these other teams a chance. Particularly in regards to this type of tournament, we're talking about the NGE Winter Premiere, which has been going on now for 2 months now, almost 2 months, maybe like 6 weeks now, and it's finally wrapping up. It's we've got the top 4 teams that are going to be playing the final, I guess the semifinals and the finals at PAX South, which is pretty exciting because you usually don't get a chance to see any kind of esports at PAX South. At least last year, I don't think we had anything in regards to esports. So they're going to be playing that in the arena, I guess they have there that they've recently started at PAX. So Immortals, Congarna, Luminosity, and Complexity are going to be playing in that, and it's $100,000 tournament. So there's a lot of money that's going on for these teams that are less known or maybe not at that tier 1 stage, and I think that's really good. Like I really like to have more of a sandbox for some of these other teams to develop, and it's that classic learn how to win type of thing that you hear sometimes with other esports or even just sports in itself. I think it's really important. It's really important to build confidence, kind of have that process where you graduate a certain tier, and then you kind of go up in the bottom of the next tier and kind of work your way up. You have to experience some success to keep you engaged, keep you actually still in the game, and then to actually have confidence to build upon that. You can win, right, and be able to push your way up to the top. A lot of teams just get owned, from the start. Like they never get a chance to get top 4, and how it is in esports. Sponsors look at that, and they only sponsor certain teams that get certain results. And even though this NGE tournament might not have the best teams, getting a first place in this tournament is actually something that you can put down on your resume, and you've gotten engagement from all these viewers that have been watching this tournament. So I hope more of that continues to happen, during this Apex season, given that NVS and C9 and Fnatic and Misfits are not going to be participating in other tournaments, and I hope other event organizers don't shy away from it. But it's going to be awesome. These teams have looked pretty good. What's cool about the NGE tournament also is that there's been a lot of parity. I felt like when all the teams were still in it, almost any of those teams could have won it. And it just turned out that Immortals and Congarna, I'd say, were the most consistent. And then Luminosity, Complexity really had some huge matches at the very end of the season to get into the top 4.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
About there's a clip I put into the esports section. Mm-hmm. Can you have you seen this thing? Can you explain to us what's happened there? It's basically I think so I'm reading, it was Lunatic High versus Africa Freaks Red, I guess is the name of the team. Mm-hmm. When they intentionally
I know what you're talking about. Right. Yeah, I've seen it. Oh yeah, so what he's talking about is that
kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's actually something that's interesting to talk about too. But what Patrick's talking about is that and it particularly happens to D.Va. Whenever they have a team fight between two of the top teams that are just in competitive Overwatch right now, what will happen is that they'll try to stagger spawns. And a lot of times, in the past, you'd see people like purposely try to die, right? Like whenever 5 of their teammates have died, they just go jump off a cliff, and people are like, "Why did you jump off a cliff?" And then you realize, oh, it's because you want to, spawn at the same time as the rest of your teammates, so that you can come up with you can already be grouped basically right when you spawn.
And you do it faster.
Yeah, you do it
instead of going all the way back to the spawn or
right, or having to sit there and wait, right?
Yeah.
So a strategy that's very effective right now is to allow one of the players to live, a few seconds longer. And in this particular case, it's like 15, 20 seconds. It's almost like an entire spawn regen. But that's what they do a lot. And it happens a lot to D.Va because, right, D.Va has, a sustaining ability because of her mech. She basically has 2 lives, right? So a lot of times when Diva comes out into the Bunny Blaster mode, and the rest of the team has died, they literally just sit there and just let her live, and and then last minute kill her, so that it takes another 10 seconds for them to actually coordinate a team attack. And 10 seconds is a lot, when you're talking about these capture point maps and even payload maps and things like that. But there's been some really creative ways people have been doing it. Like I've seen, this is obviously very egregious. They're literally surrounding her and just letting her shoot everybody and then killing her last minute. But
it was on Volskaya, and she was trying to jump off the second point, but she's like, the other diva is literally standing in front of her and blocking her shots and like actually physically blocking her. It's terrible.
But I've seen people wait and then pull with Roadhog, and then the Reinhardt will charge her like all the way down this hallway, and then let her go and then kill her. It's like you see these crazy creative ways, and it's just like, do these guys even plan this, or is this like completely impromptu and they're just able to do these cool things? But it's kind of like this other kind of pseudo mini game story that's always really funny. You see it like once or twice every single time you see some big matches on air. So it's become kind of a funny thing to talk about. Nobody's ever put a collection of them together. It'd be kind of cool if somebody came out with a video like that. So that's super important. All these little details, right, to delay, just the times and whatnot, are huge, when it comes to competitive, like super competitive Overwatch or high level competitive Overwatch.
Yeah, it's a very weird meta game, right? Like it's not something that it would seem you should be incentivized to do, but it makes absolute sense. Like you said, burning 10 seconds off the clock in Overwatch that's a good chunk of time. So,
but yeah, that's about it. I think that like I said, there hasn't been too many things. This is kind of like the off season, the quiet time. But now that Apex is going, there's going to be more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I want to remind everyone that you can shoot us emails to mailoverwatchers@gmail.com. That's mail, M-A-I-L, a parcel, not the gender. Send it over there. Thanks again to our patrons and our producers, LVE.game and Bloody Shy. You can follow the podcast on Twitter @OverwatchCast. You can subscribe on iTunes, youtube.com/AMoveTV, and just about anywhere else podcasts can be found. And other than that, let's pass it around the table. Patrick, where can folks find your other work?
You can go to Twitter or Facebook. I'm not Patrick there. And if you enjoy video games, which I suspect you might, given you're listening to this show, we just recorded a few days ago an episode of my gaming news show called Pixels. We recorded it with Garrett and our friend Tom Merritt. We discussed the Nintendo Switch and what we think of it. So if you think you might be interested in that and, video gaming news in general, just go check it out at FrenchSpin.com, and the show is called Pixels. You can actually download it on your podcast listening app right now. Just go to the search box and search for Pixels. You'll find it. So you can go do that.
Indeed. And if you want to record it, I guess you could play it and then record it from that MP3. And it technically is also on your recording device. So there you go. Chanman, where can folks find you as well?
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, also and Twitter, all ChanmanVs. It's just at least everything adding in ChanmanV. And I also do other shows too. I'm doing a Hearthstone show called Value Town at 4 p.m. Eastern today. So if you want to catch that, that's my Twitch account. And yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Folks, you can find me on Twitter at Garrett Art. You can find every darn podcast I do on amove.tv. I have a Hearthstone show called The Angry Chicken. I have a Heroes of the Storm show called Into the Nexus. I have this show. I have The Angry Nerd, which is my solo show. And others I'm forgetting to mention, like Let's Talk About Star Wars, and who knows, I'm sure there's something else. But go over there, check it out. Check out all those podcasts. If you enjoy this one, you a good chance you'll enjoy at least one of those others as well. That is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And until next time, help kill the Pharah. And, of course, good luck and have fun.
Bye.
Bye.